Shalom, shalom. Ka halala Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. And salutations to you brothers who's pushing this truth to the four corners, the highways and byways. Again, our praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Kodash. No, shalom. It's brother Yashimar here with another video. Right? Hope it's edifying, quick, straight to the point. You know, basically going to entitle this, you know, Stfu, which is basically, you know, abbreviation for shut the up. So you know, without further ado, right, this lesson basically was inspired, you know, to be to go into, because, you know, these women, especially of this generation, you know, these Gen Zs, these women that are entitled, you know, not talking about the sincere sisters. But, you know, oftentimes even sincere sisters, you know, we had to be, you know, reminded, all right? Scriptures have to, you know, keep playing back so we could, you know, maintain the integrity of what's written. You understand? Because remember, we in this flesh, and this flesh could be forgetful, you know. But this is 1 Corinthians chapter 14, reading from verse 33. It says, "For Yahweh is not the author of confusion." All right. It says, "But of peace, as in all churches of the saints." So in the churches of the saints, Yahweh didn't make any confusion. You understand? You know, he didn't you know, create it in such a way whereby contradictions, and this is in the house of the saints. Right? The saints is talking about who? The Israelites. You know? Alright? There's so strict commandments, laws and statutes, you know, judgment that was given, you know, for us to execute and live by. You know, and by these things we would be blessed, and which by disobeying them we shall be cursed. Alright? Going on, verse 34, it says, "Let your woman keep silence in the churches." Alright? And the word church, don't forget, it means to call out. You know, basically the gathering of men. Alright? And like it says in Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 4, it says, "Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is unto the sons of men." Alright? Wisdom was given to the men of the Lord. Wisdom is given to us so we could lead, direct, you know, teach. You understand? For we have this treasure in earthen vessel. Not forgetting, you know, 1 Corinthians 11, which speaks about the, you know, the ranking, the Godhead. You know, there's Yahweh power, there's Yahweh Shai, there's the man, and there's the woman. All right? And that's how it was set up. You know, the woman being the weaker vessel, she's weaker in understanding. You know, she's even stronger with the man, and not any man, a righteous man. You know, so when men of the Lord do speak, righteous man do speak, when the counsel is on, teaching is going forth, be quiet. Be quiet. All right? Some of you always feel that you must get a warning. You must have something to say. You understand? I must say also, you know, it's very imperative that brothers, you know, even the information that we put forth, you know, we study them and approve of them, making sure they're correct. So even when there's some woman, you know, coming to tell us that, hey, you know, we're incorrect or we're wrong with a certain situation, hey, we got proof. Scripture says prove all things. All right? Because a lot of these women think that, hey, you know, because Esau had given them advice, they should speak. And they speak foolishness. They give the sacrifice of fools, man. Reading back to 4, verse 34 in 1 Corinthians 14. Let your woman keep silent in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also says the law. You know, this is written in the law. All right? Now hear this, verse 35, and it says, if they will learn anything, let them learn from their husbands at home, for it is a shame for a woman to speak in the churches. All right? So, yeah. Keep silent. When the teaching's coming out, learn. You know? The Spirit of Yahweh is working with these men, mainly the men of Great Millstone, starting from the elders and the apostles on down. Those men in that order. Alright? Let me get this other one, man. Get this other one. Sometimes this AI, you're putting it to work, you know, by driving, trying not to, you know, do too much looking in the phone. So it actually spelled it out. So I'm just gonna word search authority because not getting the word usurp, maybe, you know, not pronouncing it correct enough for AI, you know. But yeah. So the 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 11. All right. It says, let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. All right? So, hey, come on. It's the reason why we all have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So when great men speak, you know, we keep quiet. You know, we stay quiet. All right? It says, but I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over as a man, but to be in silence. Yeah, you're correcting a man. You know, I'm not saying that, hey, a woman can't point out some, you know, error, but there's ways to go about in doing that. You know, you bring it up to your man's attention. You know, let him be the one to, hey, you know, pull this up. You understand? And even when counsel is in the midst of counsel, you can't speak, you wait after the counsel. Shit. You know, the Lord will have it so that, hey, we would come back together and start the thing out. You know, there's certain commandments are given the men. Said to bring forth your strong reason. You know, said the Jacob. So we would, you know, check things out, make sure they're correct. Because, hey, we are about 100% truth. You know, not half truth. So if there's something that does error, hey, it would convict us, hey, we gotta get it right. You know? Gotta get it right. Alright? It's not because you know something, you come speaking over a man of the Lord or speaking something out. You know? And even though some of you in the chat, you know, respectfully, you know, it's good to say something. You know, but in what manner? Really and truly, you know, on the comment board for brothers' videos, I'm not talking about that. You know, I'm not talking about the comment board for brothers when they're teaching and so on. You know? But, hey, you listening to something, you know, bring it to the attention of your husband. Right? I mean, for you sisters who don't have husbands and you want to clarify or get the understanding of something, there's ways to go about asking. You know, respectfully. You know, using the meekness in your voice. You know. Not an estrogenated attitude, you know, coupled with dopamine. Come on. Alright? Reading verse 12, it says, "But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence." It says, "For Adam was first formed," alright, "then Eve." Alright? So this is all about the Most High is all about order. You know, the forced inheritance, the forced made, you know, is what these things is too. And they're talking about, you know, the ones who had, hey, the angels, when they say, hey, let us make man in our own image, meaning giving us this wisdom, this knowledge and understanding. You know, the breadth to understand, to live. You know? And be a base. Alright? And that was given to the Adamites. Alright? Like it says in Wisdom of Solomon 13, "For vain are all men by nature." You know, because these other nations, you check it, they worship idols, they worship dead things. Things where there is no life. Alright? It says, "For Adam was first formed, then Eve." It says, "And Adam was not deceived, but the woman, being deceived, was in transgression." Alright? She was the one that was deceived. You know, she's the one that basically, you know, hey, it's kind of bright because, you know, we haven't had rain. And now, you know, through the clouds where the sun is trying to come out, there's this glare. This is a little bright, you know. It's okay. But nevertheless, you know, she was the one being deceived because, she was tricked. You know, and she basically brought that to Adam. You know, and Adam at the time, you know, he gave in to his wife. You know, the Adam now, you know, it's Yahweh Shai. You know, he ain't gonna slip like that. You know, but from Adam, you know, to Solomon, you could see that he had a weak side for the women. You know, he was made thus. But now, Yahweh Shai, he had conquered life. Conquered death, I should say. Right? Because like the scripture says, he found no better than dead the woman. Alright? And hey, you know, Solomon wrote that. And guess what? That's Yahweh Shai reincarnation, man. And he came back and conquered that. You know? Good. Reading verse 15, you know, I'm going to close out. It says, "Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, you know, if they continue in the faith and charity and holiness and sobriety. You understand? So this is what a woman is going to be saved by, man. Not by running your damn mouth. You know? Anyway, you know, with that to close out, I want to give our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Makakadash. You know, double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to you brothers who's pushing the truth in the four corners, the highways and byways. Again, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Makakadash. Shalom, Brakatam.